Want some candy?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. I'm all out of bubblegum.
Well, hello, Mr. Fancy Pants.
I hear you looking for candy, man, bitch.
Give me some sugar, baby. Like scary movies.
Want some candy?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of Monster Candy Podcast. That's right, we're back with another episode. Once again, it's a sausage party episode.
Sausage? Daddy, would you like some sausage?
Sausage? Please, sir, may I have some more sausage?
Daddy, would you like some sausages?
This episode is being recorded while our co-host Shotzi Blackheart is busy being a badass somewhere in the United States, wrestling someone into the ground and making them wish they had never been born.
More specifically, at the gathering of the Juggalos.
Oh, is that where she is?
That's where she is.
Shotzi Blackheart is wrestling at the gathering of the Juggalos. You heard it here first as we record this right now. Who's going chicken hunting? Shotzi's going chicken hunting.
Indeed.
Yes, I knew enough to bring out that quote for everybody. My name is Dominic Davey. I am your co-host. You might know me from bands such as Tsunami Bomb and podcasts such as 3 Gigs Podcast. And I'm here with my dear friend and co-host Screamin' E.
Yo, what's up, motherfuckers?
From the Memphis Murdermen. We are here this week to talk about Ari Aster's latest creation, Midsommar.
Yes.
That's right. And we have a lot to say about it.
Yeah.
But first, we're going to do something we don't usually do for sausage podcasts. We're going to talk about...
It's the name for these episodes, Sausage Podcast.
We were calling them mini episodes, but then sometimes they're as long as regular episodes. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Sausage Podcast.
We're doing this for Shotzi. We're doing it for her. This episode goes out to Shotzi Blackheart, who's hanging out with she's down with the clowns.
And dry crackers.
I hope she doesn't go into she's got to stay away from the sewer vents. That's what she's got to do.
Yeah.
You're going to tear her arms right off. You know how she likes to reach down into things. All right, they're not all gold. Sometimes you think it's of a joke and you think it's going to be funny and it's not. All right, so we're going to do something we don't normally do. We're going to do horror news. That's what we're going to fucking do.
A mini horror news.
A mini horror news.
Horror news.
Horror news. E, you have something to talk about.
A couple things, yes.
Okay, lay it on us.
What the fuck is this whole thing about moving Halloween? Did you hear about this?
Oh man, I actually got mad about this.
Right?
Yeah, and then everyone around me was like, "Oh no, I got
no.
point." And I was like,
"It's stupid." Call me an old curmudgeon, but
I often do.
Seriously, we got to stop fucking catering to the lowest common denominator of people and feelings. Like, I get it. Would it be great if Halloween could always be on like
a Saturday?
Saturday, and you got but that's not Halloween.
No,
that is not.
No, it's, to me, honestly, Halloween should require a little bit of work, a little bit of effort. It's worth it.
You're just going out getting candy.
Yeah.
Like, that's what it is.
Yeah, partying and having a good time.
Yeah, but I mean, even the partying is like that's like what adults do.
Yeah.
But the Halloween, you dress up as a spooky thing and go out and get your fucking candy.
I don't care if it happens on a Monday. You deal with it. You get your ass up and you go out there and you go trick-or-treating. You take your kids trick-or-treating. You don't sit there and go like, it should be on a Saturday.
Plus, if you really want to fucking party, all the parties are usually the weekend before, so what's the fucking difference? There is none. So stop
this year it's going to fall on Thursday. It's going to be Thursday.
Big fucking deal.
Right?
Eat a bag of dicks and fucking deal with it.
I honestly was a little upset when I heard this. But next year will fall on a Saturday.
Right. So it does happen. So
that'll be insane.
People
next year will be crazy.
Just need to fucking get over it.
I was really bothered by this too, because the forced convenience and like everybody, you know, they're trying to come up with reasons on why it would just be easier. And honestly, get your dirty paws off of Halloween.
Yes.
Leave it alone. October 31st, that's when it happens. Shape your week around it. Take the day off work. Take the next day off work. Whatever.
Do what you have to do.
Halloween.
And again,
This
if there's any
is
parties,
Halloween. This is Halloween.
they're always the weekend before, like
Yeah, no,
whatever.
you're
like
right, you're
you
right.
don't need to fucking move it.
No.
Like what difference would that make?
That bothered
None.
me. That bothered me.
So that was one of my horror newses. Horror newses.
That's pretty messed up. I hope, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? I think it's ridiculous. Who came up with this? Who did this? I'm looking. National Trick or Treat Day. They can go to hell.
Right.
They can go
Fuck
right to
outta
hell.
here.
Hold on.
Fucking jagoffs.
I think this is a terrible idea. I'm looking this up right now. It's so some group wants to move it from the traditional date, October 31st. Petition law. It was launched by the Halloween and Costume Association. Now wants National Trick or Treat Day.
It's bullshit.
So they're trying to distance it from its pagan roots. Well, the Halloween and Costume Association could just go right to hell.
How can you even call yourself that? First of all, if you're trying to do some bullshit like this.
They want to promote both national trick or treat. Okay, so their settlement with everybody is they're partnering with Party City and other brands to launch the Halloween #Halloween campaign, which aims to promote National Trick or Treat Day, which would happen on this, end of October Saturday, and the time-honored traditions of Halloween on October 31st. They want both. And it gained nearly 125,000 signatures since it was initially launched last year.
It's 125,000 dumbasses.
But they changed it though. I think they originally wanted to move Halloween. Now they're trying to separate the holidays.
Yeah, dumb. Dumb.
Yeah, they argue that moving Halloween would make it safer for parents and children who are trick-or-treating. The group didn't specify how moving Halloween to a weekend would solve issues related to injuries and parental supervision.
Oh my God.
But a number of municipalities already hold trick-or-treating events on days other than Halloween to avoid potential incidences. You know,
Just watch. Are we just going to nerf the whole world? Is that what we need to do? What the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with you people?
Yeah,
Stop
I have
it.
an issue with that. I mean, I get. Some people would argue, hey, 2 holidays, but you know what? Halloween, man, it's perfect. It's perfect like it is. It's perfect already. You know, it's already perfect.
Yeah. So that was my one horror news thing. And but another.
Okay.
I just want to touch on.
What else?
So the sequels from the last Halloween movie, the Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. Man, I don't know if I'm feeling it.
What?
Don't know if I'm feeling it. The next 2 movies.
So the next 2 movies that they're doing is a continuation off of last year's Halloween. Did they lock down everybody? Like, do they have Jamie Lee Curtis? I heard they were talking to her.
Think they did. I mean, I definitely for the next one, and then the Halloween Ends. But I'm like, man,
I really loved that movie. I really did, and I really don't want to see them flog it along.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so she is in it. She's in Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. That helps that she was in it. So obviously the story is something she was into following along. And they're doing a trilogy of an older Laurie Strode. Yeah. But I mean, it just was so perfect how it ended.
It was just a good... we haven't done like all the other sequels were kind of like followed the Nightmare on Elm Street and the Friday the 13th, where they just started getting just hokey and corny.
Yeah, Halloween had the same problem.
Yeah,
for sure.
So then they're like, we're gonna come back, do this one, bam,
and they nailed it.
And it was like, cool. All right,
really
I like that.
Nailed it.
I'm just worried they're gonna
flog it to death and choke it out. Yeah.
So those were my only 2 horror news things.
Yeah,
So
it's
touch on
worrying. So, just so everybody knows, I guess what do we got? They're set for the two sequels to the last Halloween. Halloween Kills is due next year, probably around Halloween. It's in pre-production, and then the Halloween Ends is in 2021. So we will probably watch it right along with you guys and help us all come to some sort of understanding of what this movie is.
It might be great.
It might be,
but
I don't know. Lightning sort of struck on that movie, and I think they really should have just let it be. Yeah, man. Well,
that was it.
That's it. Horror news. Sausage episode. No Shotzi. You know, it is weird to do episodes without her. I keep looking at the chair she usually sits in and think about all the time she talks about her butt.
You mean dry crackers?
Yeah,
she
dry
doesn't
crackers.
she doesn't talk about that stuff.
That's true.
Only dry crackers.
Only dry crackers. How much she talks about dry crackers. Anyway, this time we're talking about Midsommar, and I'm very excited to talk about this movie because I feel like there is a lot to say about this movie. So as many of you hopefully know, because you are horror fans, Ari Aster came into prominence with his smash hit, Hereditary. Hereditary came out in, 2017? Or was it 2018? And Midsommar came out this year, 2019. And it was supposed to... See, now, one thing I will say that's funny about this movie is that I noticed that before... Well, there's a lot of funny things about this movie. Before the movie came out, Ari Aster, who I do like, was telling everybody that this is going... he considered the last movie, Hereditary, to be a family drama. And that this was going to be his true horror follow-up.
Right.
Once it came out... Now I see him saying that he means that he made a dark comedy about a breakup of a relationship. Now I would say that statement is accurate.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say that this is a dark comedy about breakups.
Right.
It made me I love this movie, but maybe not for the same reason that he intended originally. I love this movie because I was very entertained. I thought it was beautifully filmed, and I cracked up. I was laughing my ass off.
When we saw it, the whole movie theater was.
Yeah, we were all laughing, and I enjoyed it. It isn't scary though. I mean, I think some people would be disturbed by the gore aspect, but I mean, it's gory and it's creepy. You know, you're watching it going like, "Oh yeah, this is crazy," but it's also somewhat predictable, and it's really funny.
Yeah, and that's what I said when we saw it. I'm like, man. I don't know if he was going for that, but see, this is my whole thing about it. That's the vibe I got, where it's kind of a comedy, but it's kind of confusing because what he said, like, oh, I suppose, super scary and all this shit, and you go into it and you're like, this isn't anything like what anyone has said about this movie. Mm-hmm. And to me, right off the bat, I'm like, man, this would have been so much better, at least for me, if it was a horror comedy.
Yeah. If it just fully embraced being a horror comedy.
Yeah, like Club Dread. Or, something just went for it. Because the entire time we watched it, Tom, all I kept thinking is, man, Seth Rogen would have been perfect in the role of the boyfriend. Because he looked like if Seth Rogen and Chris Hemsworth had a kid, that'd be that guy. Like, that was him. But I was like, dude, Seth Rogen could have fucking nailed that part.
You're talking about the main actor, Christian, who's played by Jack Rayner.
Right. I'm like, dude, you could have put fucking James Franco in the role of the funny kid that was in there.
Yeah. Like,
that would have been an amazing movie. I probably would have been super into it.
I saw Jack Rayner in Sing Street. It was an Irish film about a kid starting a punk band. He played the older brother. He was great in that. He was all right in. You're saying the joking guy, that would have been, I think that's Will Poultier. I think that's who we're talking about.
I
here.
never know his name. He's just weird as fuck looking.
That's who we're talking about.
Yeah.
Will Portier. He's English. You would have seen him in Maze Runner, Detroit, Chronicles of Narnia. He's been in a bunch of stuff, a bunch of things. But the main character was played by, because her name's Danny in the film. It's by Florence Pugh. Not pubes. Pugh. P-U-G-H. I was surprised to find she's English, and I was surprised to find out that she is starring in the new Black Widow movie. She plays Yelena Belova alongside Rachel Weisz, David Harbour, and Scarlett Johansson. And I find that I've heard that she plays a particular character. The word is that the character is somebody that like also goes under the name Black Widow and has a particular. She's like another assassin. She's in the comics, and I have to admit I'm a little surprised by that because I just like. She doesn't look like she. I mean, I thought she just doesn't seem very athletic, but I mean, of course, that can all change. She's a spy, and she's the second Black Widow. Basically, she potentially could be a new Black Widow,
right?
In the Marvel movies, and I mean, it's a great actress.
Yeah, I don't see her being in action.
Yeah, but then again, I mean, how many things have we seen her in? Like, we don't know for sure, but yeah, so she could potentially take up the Black Widow mantle moving forward, which, you know, it's interesting. I'm interested. She hasn't done a lot of stuff. She's kind of come out of nowhere. But yeah, so I liked her in this, and I'm interested. I wouldn't have thought of her, looking at her in this movie, I would never have thought, oh, she's going to be a Black Widow like Scarlett Johansson. But I definitely liked her as an actress. I thought she did a really good job showcasing a traumatized woman. I realized we've been talking about this and we didn't summarize it for people who are listening on the weird chance that they won't be watching it. The movie's about Danny, played by Florence Pugh, and Christian, played by Jack Raynor, who are a young American couple with a relationship on the brink of falling apart. But after a family tragedy for Danny forces them to stay together, a grieving Danny sort of invites herself to join Christian and his friends on a trip to a once-in-a-lifetime midsummer festival in the remote Swedish village. And what begins as a carefree summer holiday in the land of eternal sunlight, it takes a sinister turn when the insular villagers invite their guests to partake in festivities that render the pastoral paradise increasingly unnerving and viscerally disturbing. Can you tell that a publicist wrote that? Jesus Christ. Anyway, that's
some cult shit.
It's about cults, and it's a tale of a relationship falling apart with the backdrop of a Swedish Nordic cult. Fucking
Swedes, man.
And
don't fucking trust them.
I found this movie incredibly entertaining, but it isn't. I would say it's more of a drama comedy with horror elements.
Yeah,
I mean, it's got horror elements because it gets gory, but it's not really ever scary.
No.
It's more fascinating as you watch how it unfolds. And there is a mini twist, I guess, which I thought a character was going to die. And it turns out that character didn't die. Well, I don't know why I'm being facetious. You guys don't listen to these episodes unless you've seen the movie. Okay, spoiler. I thought that Florence for a while was being set up to die. And then Danny was going to die in the movie as she was selected to be the Midsommar queen or princess. But then it turned out she wasn't and was never going to be. In fact, the story is somewhat about her becoming part of the clan.
Yeah.
I read even her hallucinations while on drugs in the movie, which it has some great depictions of acid, LSD, and like hallucinations. But it shows her the nature growing into her hand and into her legs, and her becoming one with nature. And I guess that's supposedly symbolize her her ingratiating herself and becoming part of the cult, slowly but surely. I guess it was a little, I don't know,
abstract. But see, man, I wanted this movie to be so much more. Either fucking embrace the comedic parts of it,
right,
or have more supernatural elements to it.
But it really feels like a fan love letter to Wicker Man.
Which is one of, I guess, probably the worst movie ever made, in my opinion.
It's very much
Only topped by the Nicolas Cage remake.
Oh, that was bad. That was real
But
bad. I don't mind the first one, but I really don't like that Nicolas Cage.
yeah, I couldn't get into it. Like, aesthetically great. I mean, it was beautiful. You know what I mean? That shit was cool, and it had decent gore. Mm-hmm. But man, I feel like they just missed. Like that, it could have been a really fucking scary horror movie.
Right. Wicker Man or this both.
Well, yeah, I mean, but yeah, this. I mean, it just wasn't like so much opportunity to be like really get into the weirdness of the cult and have some like fucked up shit happen.
You know, one thing that's interesting. You say that. I see here that I have this note that says that the film was originally given an NC-17 rating. Did you know that?
Because all the sex, probably.
No, there was like 30 minutes cut out,
right,
dude,
right.
and the content itself, which implies gore. I think it was a much crazier movie. And then he cut 30 minutes out, and it was an R. So a director's cut is planned for the home video release. I'll get that. I'm gonna watch. I want to watch the director's cut.
2.5 hours was already too long for me because it was.
It's Hereditary was a slow burn. This is a fucking slow burn.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, there's not like a lot going on, but what makes it worse is like it is predictable, and you kind of know from the very beginning like how this is gonna go south.
Yeah.
Crazy Swede fucking college dude.
Yeah.
You're like, you're already weird, so obviously, you know, not many, if any, of these Americans you're taking are gonna make it.
Well, I mean, I didn't really, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little naive because apparently he had movies that he pulled from, but I would have never thought a Scandinavian cult would be, would be the thing to make a horror movie on. So that was interesting.
Yeah, I just figured, because it was already being weird. I was like, all right, I kind of know some weird cult shit's gonna happen, but again, I thought
the seduction was pretty funny.
From how it was described before it was released, and it's fucking terrifying and all this disturbing. I'm like, all right, we're gonna get some like super weird Last House on the Left, like just weird cult shit.
No movie's gonna go Last House on the Left now.
Right.
That's that era has come and gone. That's definitely not gonna happen. But I mean, I don't know. I kept finding it funny. Like when Christian served a red drink, I'm like, there's menstrual blood in that. Because you see, when you see earlier in the movie all the pictures of showing a seduction spell, where it involves having the man eat food with the pubes in it, and then menstrual blood in a drink, and then eventually the man gets seduced and ends up with a woman, and that a young girl from the cult does take to Christian, the lead. I guess she goes by I don't know what her name in the movie is, but she basically
Red. We'll call her Red.
Maja. She is played by Isabel Grill. She basically seduces Christian using her. It works, even though he notices that he eats a pube and that he might be drinking menstrual blood. It still works. And one of the funnier scenes is a bunch of naked older women surrounding this coupling, yes. And then when they finally like get behind him and keep pushing on his ass into it. I mean, it was I didn't want to laugh.
Hey man, everyone needs a little help now and then.
I mean, I didn't want to laugh, but it was funny. It was really funny, and it wasn't like a nervous funny, like, oh, you're watching this awkward scene, it's funny. It was like, no, it was just kind of hilarious. Yeah. And it wasn't played for laughs. It became... I just think in retrospect, he realized people were laughing, and so he embraced that it was awkward and funny, but I don't think he meant... I think he was trying to creep people out, and it didn't work. Right. It just made them laugh.
I mean,
some people who are creeped out are going to laugh. Anyway.
That would make more sense to me.
Right.
Than being like, oh, it's just like dark comedy. I'm like, is it though?
Really? It is.
Unintentionally, I
but
think.
Is it meant to be? It doesn't seem like it was meant to be. It doesn't seem like it's aware that it's funny.
seemed like it was trying to be creepy and unsettling.
Yeah, they had a character, like you said, the character Mark. It was supposed to be funny, but it was supposed to unsettle you, and I just don't think it worked.
So,
but it's interesting. I enjoyed watching the story unfold. I wanted to keep, I was never miserable. I was never like, oh my God, this movie sucks. Like, that never entered my mind. It might have entered yours, I don't know. But for me, I was fine. Did Shotzi see this movie?
she did.
Yeah, what'd she think?
In between us,
Yeah.
liked it a little more than I did, but not as much as you did.
Yeah.
Kind of the same problems. Wanted
Yeah.
more gore and, shit like that.
Yeah, it could, and I feel like it could have gotten moving faster. It took a minute. To get going.
Like I said, man, there's just so much opportunity to really gore it up and really get fucking creepy with cult shit, But it was just kind of, it was like corny.
Cults are a good thing to milk right now. I feel like this would be a good time for some cult movies, like movies about these. I mean, we have a lot of group thinks going on right now. Mm-hmm. Politically, our country's more divided than ever. Whether you're on left, right, or middle, everybody's kind of like shoring up with each other and standing against everybody else, and like it's just getting more and more divided. So it's like a good
Just
horror
like
cult movie.
The Puppet Masters won. Dance, puppets, dance.
It's interesting. I think that this would be a good time for that kind of story. I don't think this was that story. No. I think this was a good lead-in, I guess. I don't know, man. It's just shit. Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it more than anybody, but it definitely isn't. It wasn't what I expected. I did enjoy it, but I didn't enjoy it for the reasons that I think that he wanted me. He wanted me to be unsettled and creeped out, and I wasn't. So.
And it's funny though, because when we left, the group of guys behind us were talking when we were leaving about it's like a breakup story, man, and all this shit. And we were like, dude, it totally was.
It totally was. It was about a breakup.
She fucking at the end. All right, you fucking gaslighting dick. Go ahead, fuck you, I'm done. And
he was a gaslighting dick, though. I mean, it was hard to watch because I've seen dudes do that. Like dudes I know that piss me off as they're like making a girl feel like making their partner. Because I've seen a guy do it to a guy, like just making them feel uncomfortable and like they're in the wrong. And I honestly say those scenes of the interaction of a dysfunctional relationship were dead on.
Yeah,
like that was pretty accurate.
So I'm thinking maybe underlying he was trying to. That was his main focus, the breakup story, but I definitely don't think it was. I mean, it's a dark comedy. Like,
I mean, it is, but it isn't. It wasn't meant to be. I did like some of the cool stuff going on, like the Blood Eagle being there. Yeah. That being how Simon died, like that was crazy. I thought that was pretty trip. Blood Eagle, for those people who don't know, is an ancient Viking form of torture, or a form of torture that Northmen, known as Vikings, used to use. But supposedly, it's where the victims were placed in a prone position. Their ribs are severed from the spine with a sharp tool, and their lungs are pulled through the openings to create a pair of wings. The victim would supposedly be alive and conscious throughout the process, and not die until sometime after, likely from blood loss. Yeah. I hate to say that I got excited seeing that, but the attention to detail and that they threw that in, I thought was pretty cool. I thought that was rad.
But then, it's almost like the first of the newer Godzilla movies, where there's all this other bullshit,
right?
And then the last 20 minutes, you get the payoff, and you're like, "Fuck, man, this movie was 2 hours and 10 minutes of fodder for 20 minutes of oh shit, all right, now it's getting." And then, and then it's gone. It's like, fuck.
I don't remember what the kid's name that was their oracle. He had this deformed birth. He was deformed, and a product of incest, apparently, to create an oracle with pure thought that wrote and created pictures and drawings and stuff inside this book that they all interpreted.
It almost reminded me of Preacher.
Oh yeah.
How they keep trying to fucking make the Messiah,
Right.
and they just keep getting these like worse and worse copies.
Right.
The fucking, they're
That's
the
really funny. I
Messiah,
thought
and
about
then
that. Yeah.
this is what it reminded
Well,
me
I
of.
thought he was gonna get used a lot more. That
Right.
dude was just in the
Well, he-
background the whole time. I almost wonder, is there in the 30 minutes that were cut, was he important there? Because he was just there, and he's featured in a lot of the promotions to show you that stuff's fucked up at this place. But he was barely.
Yeah.
He's
just like,
not even
oh, there's
important.
this fucking little
Yeah,
incest baby dude
yeah.
we have. There we go.
Yeah, he's drawing with crayons. That's it. But it was
See ya.
just weird. It was.
Yeah.
There was a lot of stuff that was just thrown away and not really embraced like I thought it would be. So I don't know. But I mean, did I enjoy it? I did. I did enjoy it. I think it's worth seeing. I think it's worth taking note of. I think this is a great director and writer who's doing some really cool. He's trying some ideas. He's early in his career, and I think it's only going to get better.
I hope so.
Yeah, well, I mean, Hereditary was great. This was, to me, it was well done. It just wasn't well executed. I mean, it was well executed, not well. I don't know how to say this. It just wasn't what he intended, but I still found it worthwhile.
To me, it was it was like the poor man's ritual. The Ritual.
I like The Ritual.
I did too. There's a lot of... It kind of followed the same thing.
Yeah, I guess.
And then they end up, at this cult type
yeah,
fucking commune.
and a Nordic cult.
Right. But the payoff in The Ritual, to me, was a lot better than this. You know what I mean? It was, like I said, because there's more of like an actual supernatural
There's a fucking monster
aspect
in it.
in it, which I think is just, I mean, cult type commune things are cool.
Yeah.
Like stories are cool.
Yeah.
Or whatever, but if you're gonna do it, for me personally, I want to see some like crazy fucked up shit. At least half of the movie on like.
I thought The Ritual did a good job. We should do The Ritual and do it proper. The Ritual, that ending, that chase to the woods and everything like that.
Right.
You're like, oh my god, this is
I mean,
crazy.
I didn't even necessarily like the monster so much,
I did. I thought it was really creative.
but it was still like, oh, there's this god that they're sacrificing shit to.
Yeah, here it's actually there. There it is.
Right. Which to me,
And this movie did not have
no, it was just like, oh, there's some crazy fucking Swedes up here in a commune being fucking weird and creepy and sexual.
Yeah.
Which is cool, but I want to see more weird and crazy shit.
Well, I mean, we're Monster Candy Podcast. We're always going to like the monsters.
Yeah.
And there are no monsters except for yourself. You're the monster.
Yeah.
No, yeah. All right, so favorite scene, least favorite scene.
Oh.
It's a new question that we don't normally ask, and I think we should. While you're thinking, I'll do
Go,
it.
you go
Okay.
for it.
Favorite scene, when one of the Americans, in this case Mark, the fool, pees on the fallen tree that is the ancestral tree, only to have Ulf, one of the cult members, spaz out crying, swearing at him in Swedish as he sits there not knowing what he did's wrong because he thought he just peed on a fallen tree. And could have told him, no, don't pee on anything in the circle of the grass that where everyone's hanging out and living, but I thought that was hilarious.
It's a good one.
Worst scene, I think the worst scene was, I mean, trying to drive home how much of a dick Christian is, I thought became a little excessive. I didn't understand why there was this weird scene where he decided to steal his friend's thesis. And there didn't seem any reason for it, nor did it lead anywhere other than trying to get a reason for Christian to talk to the cult on his own terms, or why he would want to stay there. And I thought that was just clumsy.
That whole backstory, like weird side storyline with the thesis it didn't need to be there. Like,
it didn't need to be there. It didn't actually end up panning out. It didn't actually justify it. They could have just had him have a good time, and Christian could have enjoyed himself there. The girls flirting with him.
Well, yeah, it could have just been like, "Hey, we're going to this party,"
and he's just into it and doesn't want to leave. And that could have gotten the same interaction that happened, where he's supposedly stealing his friends. And I think that was just him. You know, he was just sitting. He just stole it from him. I mean, it's like. It was just trying to emphasize what a dick he was.
Yeah,
I thought that was just they were hammering it down too hard.
Yeah, so those are good. My favorite would have to be weird looking dude. What's his name? The fool. Mark. In the first few scenes when they get there, and they take the mushrooms, and he's like, "Oh my god, everyone, lay down! Hey, lay down too!" Hey, you know, he's telling everyone to fucking like lay down and shit. Mm-hmm. I thought that was funny. Yeah, because he's funny. He's fun. That character was hilarious. Realistic.
He was supposed to be the comic relief, and he was, but the whole movie was funny because it was absurd.
So that was probably my favorite scene. Least favorite is probably the sex scene, just because it wasn't creepy or. But then again, I mean, it's me. There's been a lot. You know, I mean.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to be too unsettling at all.
No, I've seen stuff like that.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just
in a short horror film, but it was almost exactly like that.
Right.
With a bunch of people staring at people having sex.
But it was like,
weird.
It seemed...
Trivia. We'll talk about that some other time.
Bingo. But yeah, to me it just seemed... what would be, like, creepy to creep people out or, like, make them, you know... be unnerved or like, you know,
it was
like,
forced.
Yeah, and I was like, that's kind of corny.
Yeah,
and I don't think you meant it to be corny.
No.
So to me, it's just dumb.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Well,
yeah, I agree.
Right. So that was probably my least favorite.
I almost picked that scene, but I thought that scene was more important to the story than the one I picked. You know, it's like it was more. They needed that scene. That's what turned Danny finally against him.
Right.
And
which, like I said, I mean, it could have been done better.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you know, Danny obviously stayed with the cult from then on in. That's weird. Maybe she shouldn't have any other family anywhere else.
Yeah, right.
So presumably she dies at 72 somewhere along the line. Probably marries Pell. I don't know. Yeah. It's all creepy. So,
Moment of truth.
Moment of truth. How many creepy, undead, cute, zombie candy corns do you give this movie?
2.
2.
2.
2.
2.
Shit.
Yeah. Because I think it missed. It could have went one of two ways.
Mm-hmm.
And it missed those marks. It could have been a really funny horror movie.
Yeah.
And you could have played all those scenes up, but made them like even more ridiculous.
I mean, I think he held back a little too much.
Yeah. And like, man, that would have been like real funny. Like I said, if you put Seth Rogen and James Franco in those in roles and like The Interview, but made it like a horror thing.
You either got to ramp up the comedy or ramp up the horror.
Right.
And this didn't either.
Yeah, and for me, I was just like, so I was kind of let down because, like I said, going into it, oh, this movie's fucking crazy. It's so, you know, and I'm thinking like, man, it's gonna be some weird sex cult shit, but with like a lot of like there's gonna be some fucking stuff going down.
Right.
And it wasn't.
Not enough. I'll give it 3 zombie. Creepy, cute zombie candy corns. Mostly all the same reasons you have, though I think that the film itself was well executed. The acting overall was great. The set design was fantastic. I thought it was a very entertaining movie, even if it was entertaining to me, not in the way they intended. I don't care what you say, Ari Aster. It's pretty obvious that that is not what you wanted. You were not trying to make a comedy, but you did, and you know you did. So I'd say 3, good average. It was just a good average film. I'd watch it again. I'd watch the director's cut with interest. I want to see the director's cut. I want to see what's missing and kind of give it assessment. Maybe that's the gore that's missing or the horror that's missing. 30 minutes is a lot of time for a movie. You can do a lot with that. So
3 hours is a lot of my time I'll never get back.
touche.
Shotzi, Miss
Yeah.
Blackheart, also gave it a 3.
Oh,
You know, said it wasn't bad. Wasn't enough of the stuff we mentioned.
right. So
But-
she's pretty much in agreement with me.
Yeah.
on that. Okay.
It was, entertaining and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I didn't feel like my time was wasted. I enjoyed it, but I understand why somebody like yourself might feel a little wasted. You know, it was like, but I liked it. I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot. I did. I just didn't like it
a
for the
lot.
reasons that they wanted me to like it. So there it is.
Before we go,
Yes.
I want to do a couple honorable mentions,
Okay.
both on Shudder,
Oh,
of course, because Shudder fucking killed. Shudder is continuing
better and better.
to get better
Yeah.
and better and better and better.
Yeah, Shudder's awesome.
If you didn't catch this on AMC, the actual network, it's on Shudder right now, which is James Cameron's story of science fictions.
Yeah, it's playing in the background while we're doing
So
this. And
James
it's
Cameron's
mesmerizing.
story of science fiction is fucking rad. There's 6 episodes, I believe, and he just has
Everyone.
science fiction guest within.
I'm shocked who's on this thing. He's got everybody. But I mean, if you're James Cameron, you can pull that.
Like what was it, Eli Roth? That whole thing was cool, but you're like, man, I'd expect more people from these movies, because they always do that when they do these things. They're like, talk about a movie, and then they'll get like the third lead role.
Yeah.
It's not the main. It's not
Right.
but
You've
they're
seen
like,
a lot of these horror behind the horror documentaries.
Yeah.
But this is everybody.
But this one was like fucking Ridley Scott. I mean, just fucking Del Toro. Like everyone was in it. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So Keanu Reeves. So like anytime they mention a fucking like a genre of science fiction,
Yeah.
they would have these like big movies.
And they were there.
It's either the director, a handful of the main actors. So I was like, God damn, all right.
Yeah.
So check it out. It's on Shudder right now if you have not. And second, I mentioned this too. Stakeland 1 and 2.
You were talking about
These
this.
vampire movies. I was skeptical, but I was bored. I was like, Shudder original. Check it out. Whatever. Not bad.
Not bad, huh?
Not bad.
Yes, you called and told me this. You texted
did,
me this.
yeah.
And I haven't been able to watch it because I've been moving. But now that the moving's calming down, I will be able to watch things again. So
Definitely. So
I will
definitely
watch
check it
both
out.
these
You
things.
fucking little candy killers, check that shit's out. It's
All
not
right.
bad. Like I said, it's almost like a less hokey, cheesy Z Nation type style, but actually shot like a movie.
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
yeah, so check it out, you
right.
motherfuckers.
Well, there you go, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this sausage party episode of Monster Candy Podcast. We miss Shotzi dearly. We know you do
Sausage
too.
Candy Podcast.
Sausage Candy Podcast. That's just terrible. I know you guys all miss Shotzi. We do too, but we keep the show going and keeping her seat warm for her when she gets back. So thank you for joining us and talking about Midsommar. Thank you very much on behalf of E and myself. We will see you next time.
Yeah, 80s.
Eat a blood eagle. It took me a minute to think of something. See you guys. You've been listening to Monster Candy Podcast. Want to find out more about the show? Find us on the web at monstercandypodcast.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram by searching Monster Candy Podcast. And you can find our Twitter at MonsterCNDYPC. Hey, we couldn't fit the whole name. What do you want from us? Let us know what you think of the show, and if we're right or if we're wrong, or what you want us to tackle next. We want to hear from you. Well, Shotzi and I do, but I can promise that E doesn't really care. To find out more about Shotzi Blackheart and her professional wrestling, follow her Twitter at Shotzi Black or her Instagram at Shotzi Blackheart. You can follow Screamin' E's band, the Memphis Murder Men, on Facebook at TMMM official page or his Instagram at Screamin' E. That's screaming with no G, add the E. For me, Dominic Davy, you can find my artwork at dominicdavy.com, my band Tsunami Bomb at tsunamibomb.net, and you can hear my other podcast, 3 Gigs, at 3gigspodcast.com, or on the same platform you're hearing this podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Monster Candy Podcast.